Smack Them Live. If you're shy when it comes to singing because you can't seem to hold the note, or you've got that voice that that's just waiting to come out, but haven't done anything about it because you're not sure how to nurture it, then you want to meet our next guest.
Are you speaking on a personal note there, Patrick? That voice is just wanting to come out. We'll find out a bit later. Renowned vocal coach Amanda Colliver has helped Hollywood stars like Nicole Kidman, Hugh Jackman find their singing voice, and she joins us this morning to share some of the advice given in her new book, Can Anybody Sing? Welcome, Amanda.
Thanks so much.
Well, that is the first question, isn't it? Can anybody
sing? Well, I'll have to say that we're not asking can anybody sing well. We're actually asking can anybody sing. So if you actually have a vocal mechanism, which we all do for survival, yes.
Okay, well, how do you coach people so that they sing well then? What are some of the basics that people have to have?
I think we have to understand that we have the basics. And this is where mostly we don't tend to start, is understanding that for survival we have this range, we have an ability to scream, we have an ability to yell, grunt, groan, all those kinds of things, which is actually our dynamic range. So if your life is in danger, you'll be using this dynamic range. It's really transferred to music. And I think this is also something people don't really understand, is you don't really have a shortened range. You tend to block it as you speak and through life, cultural things.
You say danger if you sing. Does that mean you might scare people away? Is that how it might work?
Exactly. So people might come in and say, I have no range, and I say, well, if I stabbed you, I think you'd scream.
Right.
There's that note.
I see. Okay. Very interesting.
So we've been talking a little bit about the nature versus nurture argument. I mean, surely if, singing is in your genes, that helps.
Yeah. I think what we're really talking about is the basic ingredients, and you cannot really explain why people come into the world with a greater capacity to do it. This is an unknown, it's an developed X factor. But I think that deters a lot of people. I tend to say, well, look, let's look at a garden, and people are at different, or the plants are at different stages of growth. So some people are in full bloom quite early, and other people haven't even popped up from the ground. So I think you can do amazing things. It's the tortoise and the hare. There's a lot of hares around, but there's those little tortoises, and they're not being encouraged as much. And I've seen some amazing differences when you nurture that perhaps not so bright light.
Well, I mean, you give a lot of advice in your book here, Can Anybody Sing? And I was reading it, and you seem to have a more philosophical approach and a more holistic approach. It's not just about your voice in order to sing well.
Your voice is governed by your mind. And your mind is really telling your voice what to do, what sounds to make. If you don't have the information, or you don't have the confidence, you don't have the posture, then the voice is responding to this. So there's no point trying to fix up the crash site. So I like to go to the cause of the symptoms, not to try to fix the symptoms. So I guess I say, well, I think I understand what causes these things, and a lot of it is, well, all of it is psychological.
Now, you are teaching here in Singapore at the moment, so what are some of the techniques that you use to help people get the most out of their voice?
I think my trademark is, hey! I think it's that. It's my trademark, I guess, because people say I have a shortened range, and I say, okay, we need to yell, and so we do this, hey! Every time I walk past a lot of people in Singapore, they all go, hey! Which really helps not only release yourself emotionally, but particularly in Singapore, you have a very subdued vocal dynamic, and this is stopping people reaching higher notes. And so once we start having a bit of a yell, not only do we laugh, but we also open up.
Sounds like there's a bit of a confidence thing involved as well.
Well, confidence is what opens you, and when your body is open, sound flows through, because you're really a conduit or a vehicle for the sound coming through. So you can't push water through a hose that's twisted, and you can't push sound through a neck that's constricted or fearful.
Well, you yourself, I mean, you suffered stage fright at a young age when you were kind of making a career in singing. How did you learn from that, and what have you learned from that you put into your technique now when you're teaching people?
I think my strengths are in my weaknesses, and so part of the motivation for the book is my own personal journey. What we have to understand is it's not that we don't love singing. I've always loved singing. I couldn't live without it, but it's the trigger that happens in front of people. So when one is put in a position where they have to prove their worth or show the world, or there's this great desire to show the world that they are worth something, it puts pressure on you and things start to shut down. So I had a lack of validation growing up from various areas, or at least I took it on as that. So my love of singing was dampened when I got in front of an audience, not when I was singing on my own.
I see. Okay. So how did you overcome that? Are there practical steps you can take?
Yeah, I think that people have to understand you have to work from the inside out. You can't just work on the voice. The voice is a product of me. So I did a lot of metaphysical work, spiritual work, life coaching, learning to realize that the fear was irrational, that it wasn't happening anymore. I started to control the negative voice by strengthening the positive voice, which is my intuition, my dreams, my goals, and the voice that says, or perhaps the voice that says, but, was changing that but. I'd like to be, but, I'd like to have, so, how will I get it? What should I do? Who will I turn to? So starting to ask the right questions. So a lot of personal work.
Sounds a lot. Sounds a lot of like psychology is involved in it rather than just singing itself.
I think singing, any sport, any skill, is an extension of your confidence, and your confidence is in your psychology, and your psychology has been nurtured since you were young. So a lot of it's illusion, and trying to find the reality of things within that illusion. You have to do a lot of work. You also have to have some pretty awesome mentors that can help you understand that, so much work I do is really quite psychological with my students.
Well, let's talk about that, having good mentors, because you believe that teachers should help people become what they want to become. Do you get a lot of people coming to you saying, I want to be the next idol or superstar on stage?
Not so much. I do have people really wanting to be stars. I like to put that in perspective, saying that we feel success is based on being known, our faces being known, being a star, but actually it's not. I know so many amazing people that are working at their craft and are so well known, but they're not famous worldwide. So I personally wouldn't want that kind of fame, that kind of pressure. So I'm just trying to put it into perspective. If they become that, which some of my clients have become, is superstars. But it wasn't their aim. Their aim was to work in that industry and do this thing that they loved. The rest was kind of a bonus.
We must ask you, you worked with Hugh Jackman and Nicole Kidman. What was that like? They must have had some quite good ability to start with.
Well, Hugh, I think I was his first singing teacher. So I worked with him for about 2 years, and this was before he went to Hollywood. And it's in my book, but in the very first 20 minutes of our very first lesson, I stopped and I said, I hope you're ready to become a superstar.
Wow.
And he smiled and he said, I think I am.
Wow.
And there was no, it was very modest, but he said, I actually think I am.
Yes.
He just met his wife, who he's still married to.
Okay. Yeah, but that wasn't just based on his singing voice, was it? It was his career, his charisma and his confidence as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was extraordinary, and he's still exactly today what he appeared to be there. I never heard any rumour. I never saw any mixed messages from him. He just is an open, very advanced person, I think, very advanced soul, because he was about 24 when I started working with him.
Right. Very interesting stuff. Thank you so much for coming in, Amanda.
Thank you.
There you go, a little belief and some hard work. You too can bring out that magnificent voice within you. I'm not looking at anyone, Patrick.
In case you need help along the way, you can pick up Amanda's book, Can Anybody Sing? It hits bookstores this month.